All right, hey, good afternoon again, YouTube. It's Sarngatti coming at you for the next video in the series concerning enlisting in the Army, medical reviews, alcohol reviews, barbecue, cooking, and auto repairs. So now for our second video, what we're going to talk about is the process step by step for how, if you wanted to enlist in the military, how to do it step by step. So the very first thing that you're going to need to do is contact a recruiter for the branch that you are most interested in. Now, again, as I stated in my first video, I'm an Army and an Army Reserve recruiter. And what that is that's the full-time, go see the world, or the reserves, which is the part-time, 1 week a month, 2 weeks a year. That way you can go to college, family ties, or run a business. So after you talk to a recruiter, your first step is going to need to be to take a qualification test, which most usually is referred to as an ASVAB, A-S-V-A-B. Now, if you are still in high school, you have a very good test that you get to take, because if you're still in school, the test is called the SASVAB, S-A-V-A-B. While you're in high school, the SASVAB is a paper test that you get to sit down and just fill out A, B, C, or D. And with it being a paper test and given at your school, it's a much more familiar and much more comfortable location to take the test. It scores the same, it has the same questions on it, and it focuses on algebra, your vocabulary, and your ability to read. Now, the second method to get a qualifying score is to take the actual ASVAB. The actual ASVAB is a computer-based test that's given at MEPS, which is located somewhere in your state, and it's the Medical Entrance Processing Station. The test that you take at MEPS is given on a computer, and it is a quote-unquote SMART test, in that the question you answer, if you answer it correctly, the next question is just marginally harder. Or if you answer the question incorrectly, the next question is marginally easier. If you just don't know what you're doing, the system will automatically route you to a dead-end question, and after 4 sections, the test will turn off, and that means you got a failing score. The ASVAB can be taken in a satellite location, which is known as a MET site, M-E-T. These sites are located all over the state that you're in, and they're meant to aid recruiters in not having to drive you sometimes 4 hours to get to a MEPS. The MET site testings, I use them for those individuals who are uncomfortable taking tests, because a MET site is a satellite location. It's a little bit more friendly. It's not as cold. It's not as sterile as a MEPS location is. The scores are the same. The questions are the same. The only thing is, again, because it's computer-based, it does route you harder or easier. Now, the last method, which is personally my favorite, is known as a PiCat, P-I-C-A-T. The PiCat is a test that you can take at your house on your laptop. It uses a website and a username and password, which are your last name and the last 4 of your social security number. The PiCat can substitute for the ASVAB because it has the same questions, the same order, the same number of questions, the same subjects. However, with the PiCat, before you are assigned the score that you've earned, you must take what's known as a verification test at MEPS. The verification test uses your social security number to pull up the test that you took at your house. When the test is pulled up, they erase the answers off 20 to 30 questions and give them to you again on the computer. If you fail to answer those questions correctly, the computer will automatically route you into the full Asvab. If you do answer the questions correctly, congratulations, your PiCat now becomes your Asvab score. Lastly, at MEPS, a certain percentage of personnel each day will sit down and take the full-blown Asvab. So you may go in expecting to verify your test, do nothing wrong, and end up taking the Asvab. That process is done to ensure equality across the system. Now, once you have your score, your next step with your recruiter is to get a copy of the list of jobs that your score qualifies you to do. The way I do it is I print the list out, I either email it to you or hand it to you face to face. I tell you to take a week, go over that list, and figure out which jobs you like. Then we'll come back together and we'll look in the system and see, are those jobs available for you? When we look into the system, we will also see how much of a bonus there is. Bonuses right now are up to $50,000. We will see when and where your basic training and your AIT and or your job school are located at. We will also see if there is a security clearance requirement. Is there any additional testing requirements? We will see all of these things up front. Once you find the job that you want, the next step is to build your profile in the system. When we build your profile, we're going to need documents such as your birth certificate, your driver's license or ID card, your social security card, your education credential, either a diploma or a letter from the school. We'll conduct a police records check, and we'll also fingerprint you. That checks in the federal, it checks in the FBI system. Once we have your profile built, we'll go back to the job screen and we will actually pick your job. We will pick the job, the bonus that you want, the number of years that you want, and we will move forward from there. Once we pick your job is then contracted to you. It is a contract between you and the United States Army. No one can take it away from you. It is yours to lose. The way you would lose it is by not disclosing to your recruiter a medical condition, or fingerprints come back and you have undisclosed legal issues. In that instance, if your recruiter cannot overcome that obstacle within 7 days, your contract is null and void. The reason for the 7 days is that is how long your contract is good for. Once we have completed your profile, picked your job, and everything else that goes into that, we will make you a reservation. That reservation tells MEPS that this individual is coming forward on Friday to conduct a physical and to enlist in the United States military. When you take your physical, they will check your teeth, they will check your hearing, your eyesight, they will draw some blood, and they will perform a urinalysis. The urinalysis is a witnessed urinalysis in that a laboratory technician of the same gender will witness you peeing into the cup. Once you complete your physical, you will sit down with a career counselor. The career counselors are the secondary step once you get past the recruiter to ensure that your paperwork is correct. For example, your recruiter might put down that you were born, or not born, but you were a resident of Tennessee, but you were actually a resident of Texas. These things happen, . And that's why we have secondary steps to check accuracy. Once they go over the accuracy, they will check your police record. They will check the FBI fingerprint record. They'll go over your medical forms to make sure you are qualified for the job that you picked. Once those checks have taken place, if there have been any updates to the bonuses, in other words, when you picked your job, it was a $50,000 bonus, but 3 days later, it's $60,000. Well, you get the $60,000. Once you finish with your career counselor, you'll go into a waiting room. When you're in that waiting room, you'll see people coming and going, and you will sit there for what seems like an eternity. What you are waiting on is for there to be enough people for the branch that you picked to conduct the swear-in ceremony. When you do the swear-in ceremony, a commissioned officer will come up in front. He'll tell you to raise your right hand, and you'll repeat the oath of enlistment. Once you complete the oath of enlistment, congratulations, you are now in the U.S. military. Your next step will either be to ship off within a week to 10 days, or go back to high school and graduate high school. That is the process in a 8-step series. Now, the subsequent videos that we produce will have a more targeted flavor for each one of those steps. For example, I will take you step by step through the physical. I will show you the actual reservation process that we use. I will show you what a job list looks like. So I hope everyone has enjoyed this video and it is helpful to you. In the event that these videos are helpful to you and you should choose to like or subscribe, please feel free to do so. Again, it's been nice talking to you, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Goodbye.